So this weekend is UFC 322, and in the main event is JDM versus Makhachev, the most highly anticipated fight of the year, maybe, possibly. You have Makhachev moving up to welterweight, looking to become a double champ, and JDM making his first title defense after beating Bilal Muhammad in the summer. And yeah, I just want to talk about why I think that JDM will win. Obviously, it's a very high skilled matchup. You have Makhachev and JDM, both two of the. It's a bit of a kind of fire versus ice, fire versus water in terms of JDM being a pure striker and Makhachev being like a mainly a wrestler guy, a wrestler. Obviously he's from the Dagestan, Khabib gym. He's going to be a wrestler, but he's also kind of developed his striking a bit more than a lot of people thought he would ever. And so it's kind of like it's a clash of styles. However, Makachev is actually pretty good at striking. So I wanted to kind of talk about why I think the JDM will win this Saturday because, well, not because, but that's just why. But we'll kind of dive into it and I'll kind of talk about it. So I believe JDM will win. Uh, because one, he's bigger, right? You have Makachev coming up to welterweight for the first time. He had, what was it? His last fight was in January, February. I think it was Feb. It might be in January. I can't remember, but it was January. His last fight was in January. He beat Hanato Moicano, obviously very easily. It was a, last minute replacement because Sarukian pulled out, and obviously Moicano's not on the exact same level as Sarukian, let's just say that. So he won that, and then he decided he wanted to move up with, Bilal beating, oh sorry, not Bilal beating Leon Edwards. Rather, when JDM beat Bilal, he, he made that decision. Makhachev made the decision to move up because obviously he's kind of friendly with Bilal. JDM beat him, and he obviously wasn't going to get a rematch because it was his first title defense. So Makhachev was like, right, we'll move up. Because obviously he just defended the belt for the fifth time. I think it was the fifth time, fourth or fifth time. And, he wants a new challenge, he wants to move up. So he wants to move up and fight JDM. So it lined up perfectly. And so he's putting on all this muscle mass, all this, like, to get bigger, because obviously there's a 15 pound weight difference between the two, lightweight and welterweight. So that's like what, 7.5 kilograms, 8 kilograms. That's a lot of muscle to put on, and adjust how to maintain your fight style. You know what I mean? Because obviously, if you're carrying around that extra weight, it's going to make a difference. And I think that might. Obviously, there's been a lot of time off between Makachev, his last fight, and him then putting on or attempting to put on all this weight. And now, so I assume obviously he's kind of done simulations with in a fight or trying to adjust himself to learn to fight with this new body weight. But I feel like maybe it might hinder him a bit. Obviously, it'll maybe make him a bit slower in terms of getting takedowns or just moving in general, like even his striking. It'll be a bit heavier when he's carrying. You have maybe he could gas out quicker because of this new muscle when he's not used to it as much as maybe not because he's the same height as JDM. Like obviously he's an inch, as you can see in the screen there. It's like he's an inch smaller, but still I believe it like that's one of the factors you can think of. And then also obviously his last, or sorry, not his last one. The title defense before that was Poirier, or rather, I should say, instead of naming that one out, but on its own, I should say some of his title defenses haven't been the most prestigious of opposition. Let's just say prestigious opponents. Because last one was Moicano. Obviously, that was short notice, and it's Moicano. He just lost to Dariush. Uh, you know, who's in his own right, not that good as well. He's kind of old. Before that was Poirier. Poirier, it was his like second last fight before retiring. He's like old. He's lost a bunch. He has like one hip, or he has like a hip replacement as well. And he was shrugging off takedowns from Makhachev. So, and who else? Obviously, he had the Volk one before that. Oh, the second one, which that was the kind of one. It's like Volk's coming off of like what he was on like 11 days notice. It's not the best, and so it's not the best. Look, obviously have the first Volk fight, which was close, and that was Volk moving up, which is, I guess you could say, that is telling in its own right. And yeah, so the opponents haven't been the greatest, let's just say. So maybe you could say, I wouldn't say stat padding. I'm not gonna say it's stat padding, but it's not the best look. It's not. It's if he fought Sarukian and beat Sarukian, yeah, right. And he beat Oliveira, yeah, that's a valid win. But he didn't fight Sarukian, not to his own fault. Obviously, Sarukian was doing stuff with Nina Drama and he fucked up his back, and that's how that happened apparently. But yeah, and then also against Poirier, he was like, obviously he was getting his takedown shrugged off, and he wasn't really. Obviously, don't get me wrong, the first round they had him like a rear naked choke position. Didn't manage to finish it, however. He did get there the whole round. But for the rest of the fight, he did get some takedowns, but he didn't really do anything with it up until the finish in round five. And that's where like JDM's last fight was a wrestler. He fought Bilal last time, who's like a pure wrestler. And so he just done a camp, which is most likely just like 85% wrestling or focused on wrestling. That's the biggest place to improve. Because obviously you had the uh Basil Hafez, whatever his name was. I think that was his name, against JDM, which was like a couple years ago, and that was the one where it was like he was getting taken down, and people thought it might have been a robbery to JDM, but that's where he has improved most, because in the Bilal fight he improved his takedown defense like a crazy amount. One thing I didn't like about that fight was he was quite. I think it was more of Bilal's uh, mistake rather than JDM's skill in that fight. I guess you could say. Because in the middle, he would be in the middle, not even hunched over. Obviously, JDM would kind of dip every time, like towards maybe the start of the fight. He would kind of dip every time he threw like a jab to stop Bilal, kind of maybe slipping his jab and going for a takedown. But when they were in the middle, he was standing very square up or very straight up, and he wasn't really hunched over. And it was like Bilal wasn't even really going for the opportunity to take down, because every time he did get takedown, it was kind of maybe JDM was backing up, or he just he just didn't seem to find the right opportunity. And but I think that was because of his own mistakes. So I'd be kind of skeptical the way JDM was with the takedown defense in terms of how to prevent it rather than preventing it in the moment. But I feel like with this fight, he'll be maybe more of a kind of hunched over, or maybe he's not going to be as straight up in this fight against Makhachev, because it's Makhachev, and obviously Makhachev will strike. That's what he said in an interview the other day, that he would strike with JDM if he can't get the wrestling. Obviously, what else are you gonna do? And that's kind of what Bilal did, but I think that would be like a bad decision. I just feel like if it was to go to, if basically this fight, and with any other fight, if JDM can nullify the takedown offense of Makhachev, then I think he just wins, because obviously, don't get me wrong, Makachev is a much better striker than Bilal. Like, Bilal is Bilal. We know what Bilal's like, but Makachev is like very technical striking. He's got power. He's got really good power. But I just think JDM's that bit better. He's obviously JDM boxing is his whole thing. He's just a pure boxer. Makachev is like, he'll box. He'll think about boxing second. Do you know what I mean? He thinks about wrestling first, boxing second. Whereas JDM, he's He's got the knockouts. He's just got the skill. He just looks like a boxer. You know what I'm saying? So I think JDM will win this one. Just the bigger size, the better striking, the kind of improved takedown defense is just, and also the pressure for Makachev. I guess there's a lot of pressure on him or just him moving up. This is JDM's first title defense. There's pressure on both sides. Don't get me wrong. You can argue for both sides. JDM is his first title defense. It's against Makachev. It's at Madison Square Garden. It's a very big occasion for him. And then Makhachev, he's moving up. Obviously, he's had the limelight. He's known what title fights are like. This is JDM's second title fight, but it is also that pressure of him moving up and him having to carry up his skills from lightweight to welterweight. So we need to see how that plays out. But that's kind of all I wanted to talk about today. So I believe JDM will win, and that was why. So thanks for watching. Like, subscribe. It really helps out, and I'll talk to you later. Okay, bye.